Chris mentioned, a dust storm warning is in effect right now for Maricopa County. In fact, Sky Harbor Airport is experiencing a ground stop until about 10 o'clock because of this reduced visibility.
All right, and things are really dusty out there. Let's get out to Chase Golightly. He's live at Val Vista and Williamsfield Road in Santan Valley, and you can see the dust is so bad that Chase wisely is protecting his eyesight out there with those winds and that dust, which can really irritate your eyes. Chase?
Mark, that's right. Thankfully, our photographer, Alexis Cisneros, was prepared and was able to provide me these goggles so we could get out here. We actually drove just about 10 minutes south on Val Vista. We're now closer to the intersection of Val Vista and Queen Creek Road, and we just stopped because we just saw this wall of dust right here coming from this farmland. It was really kicking up about 5 minutes ago. I could feel the dust and tiny rocks pelting my back as you were waiting to come for us. And then also you can see that dust is starting to pick up. Those winds also picking up much stronger than what we saw just 30 minutes ago. And still plenty of people out on the roadway here. Those dark clouds also looming right above us. And also as we can pan over to these palm trees right here, you can see that those winds are moving from east to west, really again starting to kick up and push them towards that direction. And as we just try to give you a 360 view, it's really this entire area is just covered in dust, visibility getting very poor at some points. The more that wind picks up and the more that dust is carried away. We're also seeing not any tree branches, not any strong wind gusts like that, but definitely you're seeing leaves, parts of palm trees getting torn off and pushed off to the side, and you're seeing it really a lot right now. Again, that wind really picking up. We can't even see across the street at this point where that farmland is. Again, it's just really picking up, all going into this neighborhood. I don't even know if we can kind of, Alexis, show this neighborhood. You can barely make it out from where we're across the street, again, just because of that strong wind. If you are on the road and you're caught up in the middle of something like this, again, you are encouraged to pull off to the side of the road, turn off your lights, and keep your foot on the brake and just wait this thing out. You definitely don't want to be driving in this. You don't know what other drivers are going to be doing when all of this is happening. And again, this warning is expected to be going on for about another 15 minutes or so. So we are just cautioning drivers to be careful out here. No rain at this point, but again, just the strong winds and especially that dusk. And again, those dark clouds looming just above us. But we're going to just stay out here, see what else kind of progresses. But we're just encouraging drivers to be safe out there. We'll go ahead and send it back to you guys in studio.
Yeah, very dangerous conditions out there. So this weather not just impacting the roads out there, but also impacting the airport. Sky Harbor Airport right now is experiencing a ground stop due to the weather, the winds, and the reduced visibility. So this means that flights that are headed to the Phoenix area are likely being delayed, and then flights that are trying to take off from Phoenix are more than likely being grounded before they can take off. And I believe this ground stop is until about 10 o'clock tonight. Of course, that could change at any moment as our weather starts to change. But you'll want to check the delays by destination on Sky Harbor's website before you leave your house. If you are expecting someone to come into Sky Harbor and you need to pick them up, or if you have a flight that's leaving out later on this evening. All right, we want to check in. We want to continue our coverage and check in with 12 News journalist Rachel Cole. She is live in downtown Phoenix at 2nd Street and Fillmore. And Rachel, how are things looking where you are?
Yes. Hey, good evening to you guys. So obviously much more calm than where Chase is out in the East Valley. So this dust storm hasn't quite gotten to us yet. But yeah, take a look over here. We can see a couple of the vendors. We're actually down here by Chase Field as the game's about to kick off. So plenty of fans still making their way in. But the vendors that sell the snacks and the bottled water before you go into the gates are kind of closing up shop. They've had a couple of things blow over and just kind of wreck business for a few minutes. So they're just going to shut it down and call it good. They almost made it to game time, so they're doing fine, but everything's okay so far. Again, it hasn't quite made its way to us, but yeah, if you try to look for the air traffic control tower out there at Sky Harbor to our east from where we are at this garage, you can't see anything. You can barely see Camelback, obviously a huge landmark in the valley, so the dust is starting to get really, really thick and heavy, visibility getting worse. You already heard Chase say, stay off the roads if you don't have to drive. Certainly a good idea. Be advised. It's just starting to get a little bit nasty. As Mark said, this is kind of our first taste of monsoon, this really nasty dust. We saw it earlier in the week, obviously telling people avoid being outside if you don't have to, don't do any physical activity. And now we're seeing more of that nasty dust just start to make its way through the valley. And again, coming at us, we are out here at Chase Field. We're doing a couple other stories, and it's like, man, this thing's really turning nasty. So let's pop outside and see what it looks like from our vantage vantage point so that our viewers have a better idea of where this thing's going. And again, you mentioned the Sky Harbor ground stop. So we're still seeing some of the planes come in. They're probably just barely about to land, but you've got a Southwest airliner right here. A couple more came in, but again, delays. So you're going to want to check that misery map. Looks like we've got another Southwest plane coming in here. Probably very anxious to get these birds on the ground safely with all these passengers. But boy, I bet that's something to see that high up in the air. But pretty nasty, and it's just going to keep moving this way. So stay with 12 News for continuing coverage. We'll send it back to you guys from downtown Phoenix.
Hi, Rachel. Never any fun, and I'm sure many of you watching have flown into Sky Harbor during a dust storm or an approaching monsoon, and it can get pretty bumpy out there. And hopefully, not just the dust and the wind, but hopefully we can squeeze some rain out of this.